This video brought to you by MoveBot.io. I am a longtime veteran of Google Cloud Next conferences, going to every one that they actually put on, save for the COVID ones, obviously, except for 2019, which I think I had a good excuse. My wife was giving birth to my daughter. I even attended as far back as 2016, back when it was called Google for Work Connect and held at Google's campus in Sunnyvale, California. For this year, I scoured through the more than 500 sessions and over 1,000 speakers to make sure that I found the best sessions for you to make sure that you do not miss them at this year's Google Next. Google Next is rapidly approaching and the agenda builder just went live. If you haven't bought your ticket yet, I have heard from the team it is about to sell out, so I recommend you get on that fast. Also, I happen to have the best discount code that I have found that brings the price back down to the $799 early bird price, and the code for that is 799champion, all capital letters. Like I said, the show is about to sell out completely, so stop the video right now, go over to the Google Cloud Next registration site, and register now. Go ahead, I'll wait. Oh good, you're back. All registered? Awesome. Now some more tips for agenda building. Number 1, make sure that you do actually register for these sessions. And the reason is as follows. Every year, these are actual registrations for the sessions, and they do fill up, which means that if you're interested in attending one of these sessions and you have not booked your session, then when it comes time for the conference, you likely will not get a seat. Some of these rooms are significantly larger than the others, and usually you'll be able to sneak in, such as for something like the Keynote or otherwise. However, in the past, there were rooms that had very in-demand sessions that for whatever reason were not sized large enough for the crowd that they drew in, and there were a lot of people who were not able to get in. Once you register for a session here, it's part of your registration. It's tied to your badge, and when you show up to the session in person, they will scan your badge and tell you if you're allowed in or not. If you haven't registered for the session, they're going to tell you to wait on the waiting line. MoveBot is an all-in-one data migration tool that solves the headache of moving data between platforms. It's simple, intuitive, and completely SaaS. Need to migrate files from on-prem to the cloud? No problem. AWS to GCP? Simple. Cloud back down to local? Done. They work with over 30 platforms and can even do mailbox and calendar migrations. You can get a free 50 gigabyte file transfer just for signing up for a free trial and actually test the service by using your data. Check out MoveBot.io today, and thank you MoveBot for continuing to sponsor the channel. Now back to the video. Okay, with that out of the way, let's go through my strategy for how I reviewed these sessions, where I found them, and how you should go ahead and register. Now, keep in mind, at the time of filming this video, the registration was not actually open, but I know it's coming, so I'm filming this now, and by the time I post it, you will be able to register for each of the individual sessions. First, start off by making sure that you are logged into the site. That's always important, and then you can go over to Session Library. Session Library, you'll see that there are 500 sessions in the library, as I mentioned before, and they have some very handy filters over here, of course, powered by Vertex AI, because Google, and there's 689 results here, which is a lot. You can break it down by session format, which is helpful to define which types of talks that you are looking for. The keynotes are obviously keynotes. Spotlights are kind of like miniature keynotes. They're long, but not as, grandiose as the big 2 keynotes that are there. Breakouts are smaller sessions. Meetups are in-person meetups, which I'll get to in a little while. Lightning talks are super short. Lounge sessions is places where you can just hang out, and there are a few talks along those lines as well. The learning level is, you can follow this, but I would recommend punching a little bit above your weight class here and checking out some of the higher or more advanced or general stuff, depending on where you fall on this scale, because of the fact that, it's good to learn from the experts. Even if you don't understand everything, you're still going to learn what you need to learn, and sometimes it is a good idea to attend those sessions. The topics one is where I went first. This is really, really helpful. In the past years, it has been a little bit ambiguous, a little confusing, because they had things for Workspace which were labeled collaborative and so on. That's gone. The only thing that I would say to check on here is that you've got Workspace and Chrome and possibly some of the other stuff that you're interested in, depending on where that falls here. Now, remember, this is a developers conference, and as Workspace admins, we probably do some development, but a lot of the sessions here are not going to be all that applicable to everybody. There are, in fact, 2 topic categories here for some reason. I guess it allows you to break it down further because you have things in this lower topics area here that you don't have up top for whatever reason. Also, you've got job role, which is really helpful and interesting. I usually go for IT managers and business leaders. because that's where I fall, but I'll also oftentimes check out admins and executive and security professionals just to get an idea for everything that's there. So even though I'm going to give you my recommended sessions, and I think there's about 25 of them by the time I'll be done here, you should go through and poke around and see what's interesting to you, because no two people are the same in their learning journey. And, I recommend that you go and find the things that are interesting to you. You can continue going through the filters over here and see which ones. Maybe I just need to reload this. Why is it showing me twice there? Topic. Yeah, I don't know. Topics, area of interest, and industry. This is something that Google does. They like to focus on specific areas and industries and have talks that address those. But again, you're not married to it. You don't need to stay in any of these filters. It's just to help you look through nearly 700 sessions so that you know which ones you want to attend. One more caveat that I have here is that at the time of filming, I don't know the actual schedule when these are going to fall out on the days in the agenda. So it's possible they're going to overlap, and if that's the case, I apologize. Feel free to choose whichever one is more interesting to you. These are meant to be recommendations, and like I said before, tailor it to your own learning journey. All right, getting right into it. I've already opened all of the tabs here, so I'm just going to flip through. The first one, of course, is going to be the opening keynote, the new way to cloud. This is Thomas Kurian. He's going to be, well, if you don't know who he is the CEO of Google Cloud, the big boss, the head honcho, and he always does a great presentation and also brings out a couple of interesting guests. Last year, we had the CEO of NVIDIA come out on stage, which was a super treat. Is that last year or the year before? I don't remember. I don't know what's going to be covered here, and it is relatively high level and general, but there are a lot of announcements that happen in this keynote, and it's just a really good time. I would say when you're there in person, get there early, because I don't know that they're going to use the exact same arena, but it's in the same hotel, so probably the arena only sits 10,000 people. This is a 40,000 person conference, and it's about to sell out, like I said before. So not everybody is going to fit in the actual arena where they're having the keynote, so you do want to get there early so that you make sure to get a seat. Moving on from the keynote, obviously you should add this to your agenda, is the developer keynote. This isn't going to be 100% for everybody, but it is, again, also a good time. In past years, there have been musical numbers, which have been interesting, excellent demos. I happen to know a couple of people that are on here are, everybody here is incredibly smart and capable, but I know of a couple of them in person that I have seen them present before, and they're just excellent presenters at various other conferences. Richard Sirota being one of them, Stephanie Wong, Logan Kilpatrick is Google DeepMind, so deep in the AI stuff. Paige Bailey also is fantastic, and those are all the ones that I know. You're going to see as we go through a lot of these sessions, there's a lot of people that I know that are presenting, and they're all incredible. Everybody who is on the docket here, I imagine, is incredible, but I don't know everybody yet, so feel free to come over and say hello, and let me know that you saw my videos, and I'll be happy to meet you. This is a great phrase also. You can just build things. I've been saying this for a while. You can just do things, right? And it's amazing. You can just set out and you can build it, and sky's the limit, especially as more and more technology is democratized every day. It just gets easier and easier to do this stuff. So again, for the workspace folks, this may not be as relevant to you if you are not doing on day-to-day development, but still a good time, and you might learn something. Next up is, of course, Google Workspace. I don't know for certain, but I'm pretty sure this is probably the Google Workspace keynote. Now, in the past, there have been the VPs of Workspace have presented directly. I don't see that here. That doesn't mean that's not going to happen. There is a new VP of Workspace. We haven't seen him in person yet, so stay tuned for that. But I have seen and spoken with both Christina and Yuli. They are fantastic presenters and very knowledgeable in the product. Christina is VP of Product Management and Collaboration Apps, Google Workspace, Google Cloud, etc. In other words, all the things we care deeply about. And Yuli is the VP of Product for Google Workspace and Google Cloud, and has presented in the past with at Google Next, at other Google Nexts, multiple Nexts, and also has been a great presenter and full of great information. So be sure to add this one to your schedule. The rest of these I tried to put in relative order, but they may not be 100% in order of importance. So take that as you will. Make sure to pay attention to the whole video. No, this isn't retention editing. This is just, there's a lot of sessions and I wasn't sure exactly how to stack them. So here we go. Boost productivity with custom solutions on Google Workspace. This is Chanel Greco and Martin Hoxie and Serge La Chapelle. Serge, tell me how to pronounce your last name. Serge is a friend, Chanel's a friend, Martin's a friend. Raphael, I haven't met you. I guess I'll have to meet you if you're seeing this video for sure. All excellent presenters and all super, super smart and great at what they do. So add this one to your agenda as well. I gotta stop saying that, but it's true. It's so true. Next up is combat emerging cyber threats with Google Workspace and Chrome. And this is something that a lot of people forget. We are Workspace admins, but as a part of Workspace, and it doesn't always get bunched together, but Chrome is a massive part of the equation for what makes Workspace so powerful, which is why I always talk about Chrome a lot, and I do a lot of different videos and sessions on Chrome and Chrome OS and Chrome devices and so on. And so I think that somebody who's an admin in Workspace should definitely be spending a decent amount of time learning about Chrome and what's coming to Chrome and how to utilize Chrome to do things like fight cyber threats and stay secure. And I will, of course, include links to all of these in the show notes. So look down below if you just want the whole list. You don't have to watch the whole video. I appreciate it if you do, because then YouTube, like and subscribe, because then YouTube thinks that I'm doing a good job and sends this video to more people. Whoops, I opened this twice. The next one that I have here is Tony Mayuski, I think is how he pronounces that. Also a contact of mine. Google Workspace and Google Agent Space break the information silos with AI. Now, I have heard through the grapevine, pay attention to Agent Space. I think that there is something coming. I don't know what. I know there's a lot of smoke around Agent Space, and the fact that it has multiple sessions is usually a good indicator that they're going to be talking about it quite a bit. So take a look at this one. It may not apply to everybody, but I think that if you have time, is a great option. Next up is AppSheet. This is a great one from Rachel Goodman-Moore, who I know, as well as I think Matthew Zito and a couple others here I've met as well. Accelerate AI adoption into the flow of work. And this is obviously everything's going to be AI. I'm probably going to say AI about 45 different times in the length of this video here. And adopting it is going to be a challenge for everybody, because one of the big questions that I got asked last year at Google Next was, well, what the hell do I use it for? Like, what is AI for? And I really should make that video explaining that, because I never really answered that question on my channel here. But some of these sessions are going to make an effort to answer that for all of you. So definitely go and take a look. Next up here is, again, navigate AI adoption, best practices to help your organization use AI. This is John McDonald. He is the Global Director of Google Workspace Growth Strategy and Solutions. Excellent presenter. New ways to automate your work and integrate with Google Workspace. I don't think I know any of these folks, but this is probably going to have some more interesting information on Workspace. I don't know if it's going to have the workflows, I think they called it, at, was it at I/O? I think they announced it. And I heard that workflows were being clawed back to be reworked a little bit, so maybe we'll learn more about that here. This is not necessarily a must attend, but I think that we're probably going to get some good information here, especially because you have both HubSpot and ServiceNow folks, employees here, and those are usually two very good partners when it comes to doing demos and getting things set up as the first partners of a new initiative in the product. Moving on, I don't know what was supposed to be here because it's gone, so I'll have to check my notes at the end here. But then I've got here, transform team collaboration with Gemini in Google Chat and Meet. Given that I live in Chat and Meet, I always make sure to attend those sessions because they are full of ideas and new features and announcements and things like that. So definitely, this is for sure a must attend for admins. More and more people around the world are using Google Chat and Google Meet. I don't know if it's the future of email or not, but some convergence of the three is definitely the future of communication and continues to get better and better every day. I actually was seeing a lot of talk online out of Silicon Valley and all the new startups and things like that. Essentially, they are claiming that Google Meet is now better than Zoom. So we've won. Yay! So just like the previous one was the Google Meet and Google Chat keynote, this is the Google Vids keynote. Google Vids is relatively new, so I'm actually very interested to see what they're going to roll out here as for the next evolution of the product. It's been out for a year or less than a year because it was only announced at last year's Next. It was a surprise, one more thing type of an announcement, and I'm curious to see where they're going to go with it. I don't personally use it all that much, but I do have clients that use it and folks that aren't video editors but want to put together a video update, whether it's just to update the team or they're doing something light promotional video or feature update. It's been used in those areas as well. So definitely interested to see where they're going to go with this. Oh, this is going to be a good one. You can't spell entertainment without AI. What's behind game-changing strategies? This is Miles Ward. Miles Ward is possibly one of the best presenters in person I have ever seen, and I have followed his sessions and events at several different conferences and events that I have been to. Just full of energy, very creative, very interesting, and tremendously experienced dude. Legacy, not legacy, but he's been around a little while, not quite forever. He's been around a little while, and he's definitely a legend in the space. He used to work for Google, now works for SATA, used to work for NASA, used to work for AWS. Super cool dude. This is going to be more high level, contextual, information about how these things work and how AI is changing the entertainment industry. But I guarantee you, if Miles is on the stage, it will be entertaining. Next up is Protect Sovereignty and Mission Critical Data with Google Workspace. This is Luke Camry. Luke is always a wealth of information about securing your information in Google Workspace. Last year, his session was chock full of previously unheard, I had not heard them anywhere, tidbits and facts about Google Drive and about how Gemini is interacting with that. And I wish I could just, rewatch that session over and over again, because it was, fantastic, and a lot of deep dive stuff that like I said, I haven't heard anywhere else. So that is why I'm putting this on here. I definitely recommend going and checking this out. Also, there's some pretty heavy folks in here. The Air Force Research Laboratory, Worldwide Research Collaboration, and the head of digital workspace for the Schwartz Group. So definitely some big hitters in here, and interested to see what they have to offer. This one I'll put as a not necessary, but still interesting: reduce costs and improve collaboration by moving to Google Chat and Meet. And the reason for this is because, well, it's Madeline Bayer, and she is always also full of interesting information. I have heard her present before. This is going to be more for folks that are doing migrations or preparing for a migration to move into Google Chat and Meet from other platforms, and may not be as interesting to everybody, but also because of the way that the conversation usually flows in these types of sessions, you will get real world advice and information from these other companies that are here: Vimeo, Latin American Airlines, and so on. And I always enjoy going to these sessions because it's real world. It's nitty gritty. It's down and dirty, and always good to be exposed to more than just the polished demos. Next up, secure compliant GenAI deployment with Gemini and Google Workspace. This one is Andrew Livingstone, who is the CTO of SATA Prime and also a wealth of knowledge. So definitely go and check this one out. Unleash the power of Gemini for Google Workspace with expert prompting. This, I would say, is probably a keynote level event for Gemini in Workspace. This is Pooja and Serge, who are rock stars and headlined one of the Gemini sessions at last year's Next as well. I know both of them, and not only are they great presenters, and I think Serge threw a shoe to somebody or gave a shoe to somebody last year. It was a limited edition or some sort. I don't remember. But it was a good time, and full of interesting information here. So definitely make sure that you attend this one. Reimagining work with AI agents in your own browser. The reason why I put this one down is because there's been some talk about using at the moment, Chrome extension in Google Chrome to be able to have it do things for you in the browser. And I'm blanking on the name here. I have to go look it up. 1 second. All right, I added this one in because I think it's going to be more discussion on Project Mariner. Project Mariner was announced with Gemini 2.0 and essentially gives your browser the ability to go and do things in the real world on the internet on your behalf. So if you want to tell it to go out and find information or go out and do different tasks for you, whatever you can imagine, that's what this is being built for. I don't know this for sure. I don't have any behind the scenes extra information, etc. All I know is that I can see AI agents in your browser, and to me that speaks of Project Mariner. So if you're interested in the latest and greatest bleeding edge of where the world is likely to be going in the next couple of years, you're going to want to attend this one. Remember before when I said Agent Space is likely to make an appearance a bunch of different times here? Here's another one, and this is probably the quote-unquote keynote for Agent Space. It says here that you'll learn about the latest advancements in Google Agent Space. They've already talked about it before. It's a real thing, but I think that there's going to be a lot more focus around the capabilities of this going forward, so take a look. I almost missed this one because this is one of the ones that didn't load before. Don't sleep on NotebookLM. I use this on the regular. It's incredibly powerful. You have access to the professional, the enterprise version of it with your Workspace, I think, business standard and above license, and it's incredibly powerful. Tony Majewski, again, showing up here. And if you're not familiar with NotebookLM, it's kind of like essentially what you do is you give the notebook, which is the space that you work in, your workspace, pardon the pun, you give it a set of sources. So YouTube videos, blog posts, text, documents, not yet sheets, but I think they're working on that. Audio files, video files, etc., PDFs, and it will only utilize the information that you give it in those sources. And then you have, just like anything else, a chatbot, your various Gemini models, where you can then say, take this information and synthesize it into a project plan for the development of this project. Or in my case, I use it where if I have a lot of research that I'm doing for a video, I can put all of that data into the notebook and then ask questions about it when I'm putting together my script, or even say, read all of this stuff and give me some interesting questions that somebody may ask if I was trying to present all of this to an audience. Here they say you can use it to uncover hidden patterns, streamline workflows, and empower your teams to make faster, more informed decisions. It's incredibly powerful. You also may recognize it as the podcast thing, where you give it a bunch of data and it will make a podcast about that. They're using it on the consumer side for education, where you can put all of your notes from class in there, and then it'll create a podcast talking about that information, which may actually be a better way to learn for some folks. One of the ways that this was used was in partnership with Spotify and their end-of-year wrap-up last year, where it took all of the information about the songs that you listen to throughout the year and then made a podcast about your listening habits and talked about the different bands that you're into and the different types of music that you listen to. It was only a couple of minutes, but now it's improved to the point where you can actually have an interaction with them. You can call into the show, so to speak, and you are able to converse verbally with the agent or with the hosts of the show and ask questions back and forth. So I think this is going to be really powerful as a asset that you can utilize when you're trying to build out some kind of a research project, or write a paper, or just develop ideas. Is going to be really valuable going forward. And this is the first time that I've seen it at Google Next. So don't sleep on this session. Definitely put this down on your agenda. Okay, honorable mention to lightning talks. This is Alice Keeler, who is the queen of spreadsheets. She is a wealth of knowledge, and she is talking about the script awakens. Love the reference. Automate Google Workspace with AppScript and Gemini. She regularly talks on AppScript and Gemini and prompting, and is just really, really well versed in all of this. And she's a teacher, so she presents this really, really well. The last thing I want to draw your attention to, and the first thing that I want to draw your attention to, and I really need to move this to the top of the video. The last thing I want to draw your attention to is a callback here. Make sure to attend our Workspace Admins Meetup, hosted by me, yours truly. I'm very excited for this. It's my first time hosting at Google Next, and it's supposed to be very, very informal. So, it's chill, it's down to earth, it's just come and meet and network with other Google Workspace admins, and basically all of the type of stuff that we're talking about here, the things that you're interested in, the problems that you're having, your issues with Workspace, any support tickets that you haven't been able to get, bring all of that information, come and talk to folks, see what their experience is. And we may even have a couple of Google Workspace product managers there to mingle around in the crowd and talk to all of you. So don't sleep on this. Definitely add this to your agenda, and shameless self-plug, of course, but I am hosting along with Ashwed Patil, who is a Googler. And our goal is, like I said, just to make it a chill networking, come and meet and greet, because quite honestly, when you've got a group of 40,000 people, it is near impossible to find a network with other Google Workspace specific admins, because most of those folks that are developers, most of the folks that are in attendance are developers, specifically, obviously. Most of the folks that are there are developers and don't even work with Workspace at all. And so finding the several hundred or several thousand of us is almost like finding a needle in a haystack. So this is going to be a great way to take time out and to interact and to hang out with all of us, and hopefully it'll be a good time. Other meetups that are occurring is Luke is back for a cloud certification meetup. So if you want to learn about the certifications and the path for that, definitely go and attend this one. AppSheet meetup is Alice Keeler, as I mentioned in the lightning talk here, is a wealth of knowledge, and she's going to be doing a meetup talking about all things AppSheet. And then the last thing here is Steve Basil, who's amazing, and Martin Hoxie, who I talked about a lot already before here, are hosting the AppScript developers meetup, which is for everybody who is a developer for AppScript. The last thing that I'll include in here is hallway sessions. They're not technically on the agenda, but if you end up talking to somebody, whether it's the speaker of the session that you just left or folks that you met in that session about something that is very valuable to you, don't feel bad about not going to the next session. This is probably my biggest and valuable piece of advice that I can give about going to conferences is some of the connections that I've made in these hallway sessions and solutions that I have figured out from talking to other folks who have similar problems or have faced similar problems in the past are more valuable than the sessions themselves. Now, yes, many of the sessions are recorded. Yes, you can technically go back and watch them if you miss them. No, most of you won't, but you can. Technically, it's there. Some of you will. But that being said, remember the hallway sessions, if you feel that you're stuck talking to somebody, but you're stressed because you have to run to your next session, take a deep breath. It's okay. You can stay and continue your conversation because you're not going to be able to pick that up later unless you're exchanging information. Obviously, you can pick that up later, but it's not going to be necessarily the same in the moment conversation that you're having there. So give yourself permission to do that. And of course, take notes, give out business cards. Yes, they're still a thing. Have your LinkedIn profile and QR code ready. I'm going to include all of this in my next video, which is Know Before You Go for Google Next. So make sure that you are subscribed to the channel, hit the like button because that helps YouTube with the whole recommendation to other people bit. Also, if you have questions or comments, please drop them down below. I do read every single one of them and try to respond to as many as I can. And as always, thanks for watching.